What up, what up, what up? So, I want to talk about the tent, right? I want to talk about the tent because I have been running some tests on it for quite a while. This particular tent that you can grab from us is pretty nice, right? This is the Gen 1. I would suggest getting the Gen 2, but there's some differences, but I don't think that it will be such a big deal. All right, so coming around to some questions that I've had about the tent. How long have you had it up? And exactly how long does it lose air during cold weather, hot weather, like just does biometric pressure have to do it with anything like that, etc. And I will say that for this tent here, it has been up for going on a month. Still feels pretty sturdy. It's been holding pretty good. I have it staked down a little bit because a couple weeks ago we had we had some massive wind, a lot of wind and stuff like that, so I had to make sure that it was good to go. But other than that, yes, this thing, I have not put any air in it in a month. It is feeling a little squishy. As you can kind of see, it's a little squishy, but it is not losing air in terms of there's no punctures, there's no holes, there's no defects causing it to deflate. I just think naturally over a little bit of time, as long as depending on how long you have this thing up, that it's going to lose a little bit of air. I think they all do. Temperature probably does have a lot to do with it, but it doesn't just completely collapse on you. Right, so that's what I love about this thing. Other than that, what you're gonna expect with this thing is, like I said, it's sturdy, super sturdy. It's got plenty of room. This is the 12x16. The canvas material is awesome. It's got nice windows. Now with this Gen 1, it only has the mesh windows, which is pretty cool. In my opinion, you really don't need anything else. Would it be nice to have TPU windows? Of course. With the Gen 1, you don't get that, which is why it's a more cost-effective model that we run. The Gen 2 is a bit different. The Gen 2 has options to come with detachable TPU windows, right? And the Gen 2 also has a option for you to completely take off the front cover, kind of like we have on the Green Mushi. This one, standard, cheaper because you can't take off this front fascia, so you can only get in by opening the door, which does have mesh behind it. The windows also have mesh behind it, so you can't just remove the entire thing and open up the entire front or back end of the tent. So other than that, like I said, it works pretty well. The other question that I get a lot too is, how is the heating and cooling when you run the stove? For this roughly 12x16, I think it does amazing with this stove. Let's go check out the stove real quick. This stove, generic stove that you can get from like Amazon or whatnot, not a big deal, right? But this stove heats up very, very well. I haven't had many issues with it at all, not really. There's a crack in the glass where it got too hot. It got like a crack in it, but it doesn't leak anything. But I'm gonna be replacing this soon. My mother-in-law got me this last year around like November or so, and I've been using it for a little while. But it does heat up this space pretty nicely when you do have a full log on there. Now these are tiny, right? These standard ones that you can get from like Amazon stuff, they're not really big. A standard piece of wood that's longer than 12 inches is not gonna really fit. As you can see, this hangs out a bit, so unless you got like some kind of chopper or something to kind of carve down your wood, you have to figure something out. For me, I usually don't do the wood here unless I order the wood from like Amazon or something like that, where there's smaller pieces like 8 to 12 inches. This is like your standard bundle size wood where you can go and pick up firewood. They're usually anywhere from like 12 to 16 inches in length, so it's not going to fit completely in there. It kind of bums me out, so I've been using a lot of the eco logs in here, and they work fine. And then to get more heat, if you do need it, which I don't think you do, we do have some electric heaters right there. I will say that when it comes to trying to figure out what kind of electric heater you need for a space like this, a 12x16, it's hard, man, because the issue that I have with any tent is usually, depending on how you want to build your depending on how you want to build your tent out, I hate that you have an area where it's like, this is the tent area, right? That's where the tent flap is. For, I said tent flap, your chimney flap for your tent stove. It heats this area up just fine, right? But, excuse me. But if you stand on this side of the tent, when that thing is roaring, you will feel a little bit of the heat. I mean, it's not super warm like it is if you're on that side, but this side doesn't stay as warm. And so I'm just trying to figure out better ways to get the air to move kind of throughout the tent. And I know they have like the little stove fans and stuff like that. I'm probably going to try one. I did have like some mini fans up here, but the size of this tent is probably close to about 6. See, I'm like 6'1", so it's almost 7 feet tall, which is plenty of room. I'm 6'1", but when you're hanging lights and stuff like that, they are going to get some hanging, some drooping and stuff like that, unless you figure out a different way to set them up. I will be looking at a different way to set these up in here, simply because there's a lot of room for improvement. But the thing is that when you're to do something for temporary, like you're going on a weekend and stuff like that, I don't think it's necessarily a big deal to have the lights up like this. I really don't care, so I keep them up kind of like that, just strung along the line. But it's not that big of a deal. If you're gonna have it up more, you know, long term, I would try to figure something else out, which I am. But I'm also just having fun with these tents and doing different setups and whatnot. I don't have the green tent set up, so we're not talking about that one. But this one right here, I'm telling you, super. Dude, this is how I have it set up right now, because I'm using it as like an extension of my man cave, right? Using it as an extension of my man cave, and I come out here and I just, you know, pop on some Netflix or something like that, and you know, and then just chill. The other thing that is not really related to the tent per se is I gotta review this King Camp, man. This is a really cool chair, but damn it, it popped on me. It only lasted like a really good 2 months, man, 2 or 3 months before it popped. And I found the hole, I tried to patch it, and it seemed like it was holding up pretty well. And then now it's deflating again, so I'm gonna have to figure something else out. It's annoying. That's the downside about having anything inflatable, especially a sofa. You run the risk of it not holding the air very well, and so that's the issue that I'm having. But like I said, man, these columns are super heavyweight, super heavy duty. The only issue, like I said, with the temp is that what I've noticed is that this particular tent doesn't have like a super high rating. I believe this one is about 400D when it comes to when you're talking about the density of the canvas that that's being used. It's pretty lightweight, it breathes very well, and so again, when you're running heat in here, you're going to get, you don't think so, but you're going to see a lot. You're not going to see it, but a lot of heat gets past this barrier. A lot of heat rises normally, and then it gets through this barrier eventually. And that's why sometimes it feels like it's really hard to retain the heat in the tent when it's really, really cold out, once the fire starts to go out. And that's also the downside of using a tent stove as well, a wood tent stove. You know, you got to keep it alive, otherwise you're gonna get cold. I would love to do a pellet stove. I'm still considering it. Yeah, but other than that, man, this tent is pretty damn amazing for the price cost. Again, I would caution everybody to not go out there and spend $2,000-$3,000 on a damn tent from RBM and Coody. That's just crazy what you're spending and what you're getting versus what you can get not spending that money. Again, this is our more affordable tent. The next step up is what you guys have seen before, the green one, and that's my Mushi. That's the green Mushi, and that one is larger. It's got like 8-foot ceiling, so it's much taller. Everything's a little bit bigger, but it still retains the same, if not the same footprint, just a tiny bit bigger, but it is absolutely phenomenal as well. And then that one offers more premium stuff that you can get as far as options with the green tent. So you know, we'll review that and stuff, but yeah, man, yeah, I'm telling you, hit us up, man, Cloth and Craft Boutique, if you are interested in any one of these tents, man, because like I said, to me, they're year-round, right? They're year-round and it has endless possibilities. We love going out and camping in them. We've been on an absolute tear when it comes to camping. The only other thing that I can think of that would help you if you're trying to keep heat in your tent, even after closing everything up, would be to put on a rain fly. But the only downside to a rain fly is this: if you don't get a rain fly directly made for your tent, you're gonna have to create your own space for your cutout when you are putting it over your chimney. You're gonna have to figure that out as well. Also, you have to be very, very careful, because when you put these rain flies down, when the wind picks up and it's windy, it can cause air to get underneath that to separate between that rain fly and the actual tent canvas, and it creates like a little bubble, and it can rip the spikes out the ground that you have holding it down. It can threaten to fly away, and if you're running your chimney, if you're running your tent stove, right, the last thing you want is your rain fly bulking up and wrapping around your pipe. Could you imagine what would happen if it was on, if you were burning a fire and that happened? It would melt. It would definitely melt, and you would definitely be in trouble. So, you know, again, these things, to me, this is the best way to try to camp. If you are on the fence about camping and you don't want to mess with pole tents right now, you want something kind of a little different, I'm telling you, man, air tents are the thing. Again, the only thing that sucks about them, if you do end up having an issue, is if you have a deflating issue, whether there's a hole in the column somewhere and you got to figure out where it's at, things of that nature. But again, they all come with warranties, and you know, those kind of issues are far and few. I might do another video, show you guys how to deflate and inflate these. Super easy, super easy. Actually, to tell you the truth, I did have one problem on this particular tent. I did have one problem, and it was because there was a small leak underneath one of these posts. And if you can see right here, under this post on the corner of the tent, it has it's stitched at the bottom in a certain way, and there must have been a hole in one of those stitches. Okay, must have been a hole in one of those stitches, so I had to repair it. So yeah,
Ruined between the two of you.
never.
No grass. Good.
Fence is jacked. So yep, ran my mouth long enough. I appreciate you guys sticking through, man. Hit me up if you're interested, and like I said, man, these tents are amazing.